Howdy, welcome back to more Space Engineers. And today, we're going to make that thing behind me mostly obsolete. So, let's go! We're going to start off this episode by first addressing something that probably should have been in an episode of its own. We brought back the projector, but we did a little more than that. So, let's take a look. You can see, we built these canisters, and I had to build something to build a whole bunch of canisters. All of those over there are filled with the materials that we need for today's project. I wanted to make them quickly. We brought back the projector. We just threw some little panels down in there. Those are just panels. The light armor panels down there, covering up the hole in the floor. We've also got some light armor panels here. And these are supposed to be welded up. I ground them away so that you could see how they're attached. These two corners here are just here so that everything else can be attached. We've got a welder in the floor and a welder in the floor over here. So we've got two welders, 1, 2, then we've got 1, 2. All of those are plumbed in. Probably can't see it there, but there is a conveyor right down there underneath these. They're all connected to the base's resources. So we turned on the projector, we told it to print, and it printed. But when I went back and looked at all the footage from this and started to try and make the video, it was crap. All the audio was wrong, it didn't record well, and I've reshot this a few times trying to make sure all those settings were correct. Now, all of these are just for transporting items. This one is not full. All the rest of them are full to the brim. And that's everything we're going to need. I've also got a spot right over there where we're going to make this auto mine. And we're going to take both of these ships and all these containers over there. And that's where we're going to start building. And we're going to do something a little bit different. And I think you're going to like it because it's going to make things a whole lot easier and simpler. So, let's do a quick jump cut. And I'll move all that stuff over. Alright, so I got everything over here. And I've already got a battery placed over there to act as our cornerstone. And as you can see, we had a little bit of mishaps when transporting the containers, but not a big deal. Now we're just going to run over here. We're going to grab the stuff for a projector and a control seat. And we're going to start building this. Now this building's going to be put right here. We're going to place a projector on here. I'm going to place it just like so. I'm going to weld that up. Make our life a little easier going down the road. I'm going to put a control seat right on top of it. These will all get ground down. The battery will stay. Alright. So, go ahead and we'll come in and we'll go, hey, go to the projector. And I'm going to use the drill rig that we used before. Yep, it's just giving me a warning saying that the multiple grids are not supported, so it's going to take the largest grid. I'm going to tell it to keep the projection. And we're going to change our view to be looking out, away from everything. Now, come back in here and we can adjust offsets, and adjust the vertical, adjust the forward, pitch. Yaw. Okay, that's got it upright. And the roll. So that you can do all of that to adjust where your station or where your blueprint's being placed. Alright, so you can kind of see in the background where everything's winding up, and this pillar right here, right close to us, is actually the one in the bottom of the pillar we're going to have the battery. So now we're going to move it forward. Not vertical. Forward offset. You want it in line with the battery. Kind of see it through my display here because I've got my display showing as transparent. All right, I think that's exactly where we want it. Yeah, that battery is right in the corner there. Perfect. Now, we're going to build all of this using that weld chip. And I know that this has got this sticking out of the ground a bit, but that's okay. We can actually make that look good still. I'm not too worried about that. All right, and we're going to replace this run here. So these two blocks with batteries, as well as this tower with batteries. So let's see, do we have any steel plates on us? We do not. Let's go grab some steel plates and we will place the batteries so they'll take over that portion of the blueprint. Let's head over here and we will place the batteries like so. Want one coming up here, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. That'll get us more batteries on there, which will be good because we're planning on having some refinement here, and that's going to use a lot of battery power. Now, aside from that, it's just going to be me running around and welding everything. So, as the sun sets, I'm going to start welding using the welder. I'm just going to leave the two ships joined together like they are. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to pick up a container, and I'm going to start welding. And as I run out of components, I will move to another container. So, we'll be right back. Alright, so this looks cool. I like having the projection to work from, but we're going to do something that'll make our lives just a little bit easier. We're going to come in here and we're going to change this bit. Into the settings here, we're going to say projector, show only buildable. All we need to know is the things we can actually weld. We don't need to see the rest of it. So, by hiding those, it makes it a whole lot easier to target the right blocks and see what's done. So, I'm going to get back to welding. We'll be right back. The original drill rig is all built. May make some changes up there because I think this is set for ore. And we actually want this to be off for now because we don't want it sucking any of the ore up into that connector. We're probably going to take that connector off. Now, you can see I did have to dig out the ground to be able to place the drills, which conveniently swung because, of course, why not? And I set the event controller that controls the drills to look for to turn off if the threshold is at 0%. And when I went to do that, I realized it was not actually connected to the cargo container like it should have been. So when you're done building this, you'll probably have to come in and play with that slider and turn it back and forth. Not a big deal, but it's something you'll probably have to worry about. You see this started drilling a little bit when I messed with that slider. Now, what we need to do here, we're going to need, got conveyors, we've got sorters, we got containers. We don't need that, that, or that. We need a refinery, the modules, sorters, and connectors, which are under the collector. And I think we're going to need event controllers. Like a bunch of them. So, we're going to start by hooking up the refinery. Now, I want all of this coming out well, what is essentially the front side of this. And I kind of want to have access from the side here. So, we're going to put it right here like this. That should be good. We should be okay with that. So we're going to place that right there. And now we're going to come in and we're going to place... We are just going to place power modules. we'll do power to save power, and because this is running automated, we don't care how long it takes to fill the containers or how much we get out of it. Just want to make sure we have everything. So now this should pull all the stone out of this large cargo container and refine them into basic materials. Now we're just going to sort them. So let's go ahead and we'll grab conveyor sorters for conveyor junctions. And let's see, we just want we need a large cargo container. I'm going to set the cargo containers up over here. So right here we're going to need a key, a couple of straights. We're going to need 3 straights, then another T. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to run into the side of the hill too much. So we need 4 cargo containers total. We're going to change this layout a little bit. We're going to put right here, instead of using a T, we're going to use a junction. Like so. Let's make sure that sides look right, because it doesn't matter, but we're going to do it anyways. Now we need straights. And another conveyor junction. Off of that, we're going to bring out these sorters. And we want to make sure that that access panel, see that access panel right there? We want to make sure that is visible. Come to the other side. This might actually be too close. We may have to change this. So, before we do this, we're going to run this and let it fill up this cargo container with stone. And make sure we actually have the room I think we're going to have. So let's go ahead and change this to 10%. And let's see if it's breaking anything. Right, so after letting this run for a bit, we can see just how much space we have to work with here. And I think that sadly means I need to rethink the positioning of this, because we're going to be just a little bit too close to that hole. So let's go ahead and pull this out, and we'll do the same thing, but we're going to pull it out another block or 2. Right here, we're just going to put a couple extra straights there. Now we'll bring in the junction. 1 junction. And another junction. Now we should have enough. Now let's go ahead and we'll do a sorter here. Make sure that we're positioning that right. It looks like we are. Yep. 1 there. And there. 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 Now on each of these, we're going to add a large cargo container. Those will each hold a different ore. Should be just far enough that we can work with that. That's good. Now we've got this. It's going to take the stone, refine the stone, while saving us power. It's going to pull it out, and it's going to sort the main resources that you get from it into these other cargo containers. On top of each of these cargo containers, You're also going to want another sorter, and this sorter is just going to be to push resources from that cargo container into a connector. Now, connectors. Alright, I'm going to get this all welded up, and then we'll be right back. Alright, we've got this all welded up. Minus that, because we need to set up the sorters. We need each one of these sorters to be set for iron, silicon, nickel, and gravel. Let's start with this one. We'll make this one iron. Let's double check that that's what we actually need. Iron, nickel, silicon, and gravel. You know what? We're going to make this one gravel, because we know we don't want this one to have to be landed on, because it's right next to the drill. Whitelist. And we're going to grab gravel. That's it. That's all we need. Well, and drain all. There we go. Those are the 3 settings we need to make. We're going to do the same thing for do iron here. This one iron, iron, silicon, nickel. Alright, those are all set up. Now it's time to weld up last conveyor tube. Have our resource back out of here. I think this already, yep. Right, now that this is all set up and ready to go, there's one more thing I had to do that I didn't get recorded. These right here, all of these, the sorters on top of the cargo container, those all need to be set to drain all. That will ensure that these always get filled first. Now, technically, you can probably get rid of these and just put these on the top with collect all turned on. But I prefer to use a sorter to ensure that everything is forced up there. Now, there is one thing I have to take care of still before we can call this thing ready to go. Well, there's 2 things. One, I know I'm going to use the at varying amounts. I also know that when I'm drilling up stone, I'm going to create far more gravel than I am nickel. By like 20 or 30 times, I think. It's ridiculous how little nickel you actually get. So, we need to allow for things to overflow. So, say I grab nothing but iron out of there. I'm going to need the stone to be able to overflow when that one's filling. And have the stone go somewhere so it doesn't back up the entire system. So I need something to eject things out of these containers. And the best way to do that, actually get a sorter. Or sorry, not a sorter, a connector block. Now, because of the way these sorters work, we don't need anything special or no special programming to make this work. This sorter will always push to the first available space. It'll always fill the first cargo container after that sorter. So that sorter's always going to put stuff in that cargo container if there's room in it. After there's no room in it, it will go to the next available container with room in it. Which, those will be full. So that one will be the very last block to get anything. After these are completely full, it will start to shove into this connector. And we're going to add a connector on each and every one of these. And actually, I think I want this connector here and not here. Grind that one down. We need a connector on both of as well. And I think we're going to do the same setup. Out the sides here. Alright. Now I'm going to weld those up. And as soon as I have those up, I'll show you what we got to do for setup. Alright, now that all these are welded up, just going to come in and we're going to set each of them to throw out. So all of these, as soon as they are able to get anything in them, they will throw it out onto the ground. And because of the world settings, those won't build up too much. If your world settings are set so that you can have things build up on the ground, then I would suggest that you throw a grinder setup underneath yours. So dig out the ground here and throw out. So you would dig out the ground right underneath this. In fact, we'll just come over here where we can see it better. If you dig out the ground under here, you have some space underneath this available. You can put a grinder block, which is available in tools. Just put one of these right underneath this connector, and that should grind anything that falls on it and destroy it. I haven't tested that, but that's my theory. So give that a try if you do have things that are allowed to build up in your. And if that, failing that, then you might want to try something like the mod that I've seen on the workshop that is just a trash can. Just dump things into it and they disappear. That would probably work very, very well. Just set it on there and the system will push into it. But I haven't tested that mod. Alright. So those are all set to throw out. And the one thing that we do have to still look at is I noticed that the whole system backed up and that cargo container and all the drills got full while I was AFK and testing things. And that's what you get for not watching the whole system. You can see my pistons are darn near fully extended already, so we're going to address that in the next video. But one more thing that I do have to set up is I need to change this here. I need more than one timer block. So we're going to pull this out and we're going to change this whole system up here. I know I need to get rid of that window for what I'm about to do, so we're just going to do it. And we're going to get rid of this block. And yes, I've re-recorded this several times. I already dug that hole. You'll need to make sure you have enough room in your floor for these. We want a piston, or sorry, not a piston. We want a hinge. And we want to get rid of that head. And we want that hinge to have a small head on it. Add a small head. And we want both of these to be limited to 90. I think. I hope. Now we should be able to weld this up. Need to grab all the stuff for that. I'm going to grab that stuff and then we'll be right back as I have that welded. Alright, we've got that all welded up. Now, just need to add basically what we're going to start with for building. Oh, we need to back that up a little bit. Alright, let's change the hinge. And make that negative a little bit. Or the limit down a little bit. There we go. Now we can put the blocks in there. And it might actually let us place these. Nope, it won't let us place those. Okay, though.
Inventory full.
No, that was the wrong block. Go. Hinge. Change that hinge back to 90. And hinge lock it. We actually need to get rid of these blocks I just placed there. Now, I'm going to want this to be airtight. So we're going to do something that's a little screwy. We're going to cheat the airtightness settings in the game. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to place this block right here. that counts as a full block. So that entire the entire area here where that block is at, it's counted as one solid light armor cube. It's kind of jank, kind of broken, but it is what it is. Now we just want a steel plate out here. Or sorry, a light armor panel out here. Go. Put that right there. Now it will look like a solid wall from the outside. Pull these up real quick so we don't have to worry about trying to weld things that are buried. Alright. Now we will place these. So now we've got those two empty spots. You just throw 1, 2. Go. We've got 2 event controllers. Now, because I wanted airtight in here, and we are cheating that, I'm going to also throw a window on the outside. Wrong window. We want that one right there. There we go. Have a window. And think I need to back that hinge up a little bit. Just a little bit. So I can place that window. Make that. Alright, let's see if that did it. Should have. Yes, we can place it. Now we'll just place it so it's clear on this side. And that should be good. We won't weld that one up until we're done messing with everything. We'll just take this back up to 90. Hinge lock it and turn it off. There we go. Now, once we weld up this window here, this entire place becomes airtight again. Alright, so now that we've got this whole thing airtight again and getting dark out because I'm losing my mind, we're going to set up the event controllers. And yes, this is a reshoot, that's why that's a different color. So, we want the event controllers to control the drills, which is going to be mine power. That controls the pistons, the rotor, and the drills, turns them on and off. Those are all set up same as previously when we set up the ice mine. You can go take a look at that video if you want to see how to set this whole thing up for just mining. And now we're going to come in and we're going to look at the event controllers. This event controller is going to be set up the same as we did before. Cargo fill, large cargo container. Oh, and yes, large cargo container. I forgot to clear that out. And we're going to set the fill threshold so that greater than or equal to, or equal or greater than, so equal or greater than 50%. You can see right now we are at 76.8, so we are definitely greater than this number. And if we come up here to 80 something percent, then it's going to say false, action 2. So we want 50%, give or take. All right. And we're going to set up action. We are going to come look at the groups here. We're going to say mine power. If it's true that it's greater than or equal to that, then we want it to shut off the block. So toggle those off. If it's false, and we're actually less than 50%, we want it to toggle the blocks on. So now, when this actually gets to the point where it drops, where it meets action 2, it turns on the drills. See, that's filling up, and that's a good thing. Now, 50% is what we're going to use there, and then event controller 2, we're going to use this for the refinery. And we're going to use this to also use cargo fill percentage. We're going to have it look at the cargo containers for iron, con, stone, add those. And then we want the sorter that's on top of the nickel. So this sorter right here, which we haven't named yet. We will name this Nick Delivery. I don't know if that's actually a good name or not, but that's what we're using. Because it delivers the nickel so that we can pick it up. So we are going to look at that. And the reason we're going to do that is because the nickel fills up so slowly that we don't want to actually look at the cargo container. We want to look at the sorter because the sorter is going to be almost empty when the cargo container for stone is full. Sorry, for gravel. So let's come up here and we will search for Nick. And we'll add the sorter down there. Now, we just want a low percentage. Because when all of these are set, then we know that we've got the sorter completely full. We're going to take that to 10%, no, 5%. 5% of a large cargo container is a lot. So that should be good. And we're going to hit and. So it has to be all of the blocks are at 5% or more before it will be true. So when this is true, we want it to take the refinery and shut the refinery off. Where's the refinery in here? Toggle block off. Then, when false, we want it to toggle the block on. Now, if we change this a little bit, now you can hear that refinery has kicked in. And if we look at the inventory, we will see that the stone is actually quite full and it's going to start going down. Refinery is working. Everything is working. Now this should be able to run unimpeded. And yeah, we'll sort that out because I need to add more pistons because I walked away for too long and wound up wasting a bunch of stone because it was filled to the brim and still running, which means it was just destroying all the resources, and don't do that. But now we can weld this up. And now that this window's all welded up, it just looks right. That framing helps to make it all look better. Now, this is all set and ready to go. And it's been running for quite some time. Honestly, you can see that. We come down here and look at the gravel. You'll see that the gravel container is already quite full. Got a lot of gravel. We've got a lot of iron too. This should be completely full. Yeah, we are definitely making all the resources. Next episode, we will fix the fact that we have not enough reach on our pistons now because of my screw up. And then we'll get some drones going. I've got to take a whole bunch of containers back and yeah, do the cleanup work. So while I do the cleanup work, y'all can wait for the next episode because I think this is going to be it for this one. Next week, we'll come back and we'll fix the piston problem. I'll go through how to do that because that is going to be a process unless you want to just rebuild everything. I don't think we do. So, come back next time and we'll see how to add more pistons into this chain without destroying your whole setup. So, look forward to seeing you then. Have a good week. See ya.